Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi all and welcome to another round of the Blueprint Show, which is now up to episode 4, and we'll have all the details soon. Plus a little extra at the end. This is the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Enjoy the show. Right. A beautiful song about life, obstacles, and remembering who you are. One hopes by the end of this you remember that. Just like the song says, remember. Welcome to another episode of our Blueprint Show. This is episode 4. And much work has gone into this, and much work is ongoing. And special thanks to you all who participated or supported it. But one thing that has come to my attention is the possibility of someone or something hijacking the blueprint. And on one level, that is okay, as it gets the blueprint further in wider circles. But if it's used negatively, then other forces will take shape. That book and its contents are the sole ownership of THI, and that is being shared with the world for full understanding. Should that intention of the book be attempted to be compromised in any way, whether plagiarizing, monetizing, or using it for ego-based purposes, there comes a warning to those who wish to do that. That book, in all its forms, is seeded with heart-based intentions. Should it be misused, there will be severe consequences of actions for those who do that.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Consequences of actions is not done by the initiator. It is done to those who misuse or abuse it. Consequences of actions has been issued in many arenas now and is travelling the planet daily. Many may choose to dismiss it, and that's fine, but you do so at your own peril. Some fairly devastating consequences of actions has already unfolded this year alone. That will increase in the next phase. As a reminder to those who wish to play games, this is your consequences. Well, you're all going to die. Right, with that out the way, we'll go on to the book team update. The consent booklet and the divine masculine and divine feminine booklet are now being translated into French. The proofreading of volume 1 of From His Story to Our Story German translation is progressing well, with parts 1 and 2 finished and parts 3 and 4 in progress. The Hebrew version of the blueprint is almost complete, and when it is, the translator will begin work on the Swedish version. Good stuff. The research team, the blueprint research team, voted to ask the web team to create a new email address of questions@thenewblueprintforhumanity.org. And that will be used in any type of focused correspondence to encourage feedback to our emails of the PDF and any hand-delivered cover letters. Now, the team is currently reviewing gathered samples of text for those emails and cover letters, and they will vote this week on the top 3 to recommend to members as a standardised template. Now, in addition, they voted unanimously to implement several suggestions from a THI member, which is to add influential organisations such as Mothers Against Drunk Drivers to the master database, along with the name of the leader of such groups and their lobbyists in Washington, D.C. Now, the Blueprint research team looks forward to interfacing with the international groups in order for the master database to serve all and facilitate expansive distribution tracking reporting. The media team. Now, the media team now have someone to help with setting up an Instagram account, and this will roll out over the coming weeks. We have the content and we can use it on many different platforms. We are working on the influencer template and putting together ideas of how to properly implement it to account for any responses that we receive. How we act now and respond to these influencers is an important part of being seen and heard. And overall, we are happy with the progress we have made and continue to assess and improve as we go. The Newcomers Zoom. This is a Zoom group that has been set up, and it is there if people need it. And it may not be for all, as some do not want to be on the Zooms. Now, some do not use their real names and like the anonymity, but the space is created now and it will evolve over time. So the whole idea about this is the people who join MeWe or some of the other platforms are sent an invite to come on a Zoom to get to know THI better and what we're up to and where all the links are and all that stuff. And they said we will continue to invite anyone who wants to get to know us better and give them an overview of how the groups run, where to find them and who to contact. Now, the platform FCC free conference call is being used by the People's Colours, and Jitsi, Jitsi, is another alternative to Zoom with good quality, and it was suggested a trial run could be used as Jitsi is a free and open source. The youth website. Now, the youth team are working on a mission statement and have picked 10 solutions that they feel would be more youth oriented. And these will have a small written introduction stating why the youth will need this. And these will then go forward to the web team to formulate how they will appear on the website. And we are making progress slowly. And this is not a bad thing, they say, as we want to provide something different for the users. Now, we had thought of asking parents in the groups to ask their children what topics they are more interested in and let us know what feedback they are getting. And also looking at young influencers to see what topics that they are talking about, as they might be someone we could target with the Blueprint website eventually. Now, looking at the online young influencers, though, most have some alignment with THI ideas, but not all. So it will be necessary to find common ground. Now, their consent booklet and the Divine Masculine Feminine booklet will have a place on the website, and thoughts on how we impact this teaching was also discussed. And also the school curriculum may also be put on the youth website. Music member content. There was great excitement after a member's song was included in the last Blueprint show in episode 3, and the response was very positive to it, and it serves as a great reminder of the power of creation that lies within our members that is now coming to the fore. It inspires us all to be the wonderful creators we are and always have been. An open discussion topics and questions is the next section. And a discussion opened around how we are using our social media platforms and should we be emphasising the importance of community that already exists within THI. We watched a small video of a group sharing their experiences of coming together and also working on a project. And it raised the question of sharing some of the photos in video format of recent and the up-and-coming get-togethers. And that have brought many of those members not only closer together, but expanded in many ways in their own personal growth. Now, while this can be viewed as branding, one member suggested, it is branding with a small b. Ultimately, there's nothing wrong with branding, and it is, in fact, just another title to describe an organisation. Now, we in THI and TPC have always, however, shied away from titles and labels, but in essence, they are just a word. We have worked together to create a new way of getting things done, understanding our responsibility within the groups and thinking and acting differently towards one another and indeed ourselves. And is it time now to be the way showers to others of how they too can accomplish this new way of cooperating through the heart? We also discussed the youth website, the importance of it being a safe space for them to create and grow into who they truly are. And Katie is working on a multimedia game of life to appeal to kids with info on chakras and how to align, etc. And this would be a transition platform to bring them to THI if needed. The kids who came in after 2000 are very different, savvy but too focused on their phones. Fashion and gaming are primary attention getters, and they are following brassy people or off-grid influencers and not much in between. So what do we create to place into that void is the question. And it's suspected, and I agree, that they do not have the patience for long videos or audios. And they have an overwhelming drive is to be cool and popular and are interested in the next age level up rather than their own age group. And we need to leverage peer pressure and create a more balanced approach for them. They want to be a follower. They need to be taught the idea of becoming a leader and an influencer for their own peers. In overview, while the reports, this was written by the team, not me, while the reports this week may be shorter, we need to remember that we are constantly flowing and evolving. And some of that will have high peaks where much is being done, and other periods will be more introspective and observing and assessing how the previous action is playing out. We also need a space to develop and to expand, so sometimes less is more. Now this week the meeting began with a grounding exercise to take us into our heart space, which is the real crown of creation. In this space we take time to pause and slow down, open our hearts to one another and connect on a higher level. And it sets the energetic frequency that brings a sense of compassion, strength and recognition of each other as the truest forms of ourselves. And there were many great ideas around the Youth Inc. different website for the younger members, as we recognise how important They are for the very foundation of the future, and we older members are now actively creating. They will indeed be the next guardians of this planet Midgard, and they too need a place to be heard, seen and cherished. They have even more potential to take the blueprint and make it their own, expanding on the solutions and creating their vision for a better, more balanced and loving world. Our job is to help them understand how important they are and what the role of a guardian involves. The responsibility that has long been handed over to others that denigrate our people and enslaved us. How do we help them to think and act differently was the question. Indeed, they already do. We maybe just need to give them that space to express it in safely. How do we impart onto them the role of the divine masculine and feminine and give them a sense of taking this concept and setting it as their new baseline? We have amassed a huge library of truth here, a foundation of knowledge that will help ensure we do not repeat the past. Indeed, we can also take from it that once was the truth about our real abilities, our true greatness, and we endeavour to remember the wholeness and the beauty of all that. Within every one of us lies the greatest potential of embracing all of this, not just for ourselves, but for the next generation who will bring the fruits of our labour to new heights. And we ended with the following: I am you, you are me, we are TPC, we are the blueprint. Fantastic stuff. An update from me now. That was another great update from our teams, and it must not be lost in your thoughts following the rest of the show. Take a second to give thanks to all who participated in it, as without them we have nothing to hope for. Now, the 3 books that went out to Candace Owens, Elon Musk and Douglas Rushkoff has not had a return input to date. Now, things for the second batch of books with the 6 names plus the Putin letter have been delayed due to certain circumstances within my field only over the last few weeks, and steps to get that back on track unfolded this week. I am not disappointed over the fact that currently the first 3 have not replied. Indeed, I expected it. In their world of threats and leverage, many are and will be uncomfortable coming forward initially, and it requires safety in numbers. But eventually the blueprint will have spread wide enough for people to be comfortable enough to then approach us. But don't think for 1 second that it's not having an effect, because it's having a massive effect on the internal, which will eventually unfold externally. Every member who has shared the blueprint with their friends and circle have all received overwhelming support of it, despite most of those not being familiar with THI or the alternative media. There is a sea of change unfolding, as many now are seeing in the early stages of what you all knew some years back. They are seeing a broken system, seeing the collapse of everything, and they are craving a platform and, most importantly, clinging to hope. It is the hope that the blueprint brings that should inspire us all to do our utmost to facilitate this massive change. I have been tasked to increase my speech voice and delivery of certain material in readiness for a bigger stage. But it will not just be me speaking. And so I task you all to be ready to contribute to that, as we don't need one voice, we need to show many. Now, recently, Roger and I went on a podcast with that goal in mind, speaking about law, or the lack of it, and that is now available on THI-show.com. Now, the content is highly interesting, but the host asked leading and at times sceptical questions, which is a good thing. But it also gave us an opportunity to test ourselves as to how we handle those questions. So go and check it out for yourselves. That was incidentally my first interview in about 4 years, and we are hoping that increases over time. A unified voice with one goal of restoring this planet and its varying humans onto something resembling an adult race, based upon a higher connection to source on a more biological level and away from the synthetics, bots and machines world they are trying to create. They cannot sustain themselves anymore, whether they are synthetics or biobots, neither on the surface or those who reside below. Their new world order is failing at an alarming rate. Their systems of control are failing at an alarming rate. Their programs and influence are failing at an alarming rate. The Ouroboros is in full swing for them now. Their decline and lack of hold over us is now marked. In essence, the blueprint can be seen as the final blow. Because they know when this takes off, that is their end. And some of them, you'll be surprised to know, will welcome it, as their attempts to correct it have all failed. In essence and in overview, their end came in 2012. They hold on to their illusionary power through one word: fear. The fear within you is propping up their failing foundation. Fear is the glue that keeps us enslaved, and them with the illusion of power. They have no power. They never did. Only what we allowed. And this is our opportunity to step away from the slave mindset and operate only in complete fluidity from the heart. Hope is in short supply now, but the blueprint brings hope of real change, a fair and balanced change. And remember, hope is the avenue of the light. What's this life for? Have you defined it? Maybe after this piece you will. Hopefully, anyway. Following on from the two pieces in the last Blueprint show, episode 3, called What is Value and What is the Future? Here we delve into another piece called What is Life? And this is a much expanded version from the original I did 3 to 4 years ago. What is life? Well, similar to what is value and what is the future we did in the last show, again, we have not defined it too well, have we? Because if you have no or limited understanding of energy, frequency and vibration, how can you understand life? In overview, that is a reversal of how people operate, all too easily concerned with external things, yet will not look internal. But those three things, whilst they are all external of you, are also internal as well. And they are the driver of everything, not just you. Those three dictate everything in the universe. But with regards to life here, that will change everything. The three memes of the People's Club changes everything as well. Need, not greed. Caring and sharing. Cooperative, not comparative or competitive. Two trinities that define how life should be. Life is living, experiencing good, bad or indifferent. Life is learning from the light and the dark. In fact, our best lessons and learning mode come from the dark by observance, which is far better than participating in it. But one wonders at times if people know the true value of life. There are billions of life forms operating in suspended animation, just waiting for the opportunity we have been given to live in a body like our own. I would ask you to ponder long and hard on that statement and then wonder why there is host possession. But life here is not about living, is it? As each generation passes, it has become more about surviving and existing than living, has it not? So much so now that surviving day to day for well over half the planet is their very existence, while a select few gorge on life and consume everything like it is all suddenly going to run out any day soon. The classic think tank tactic of create or announce scarcity where there is none. Remember, according to those scaremongers in the 1980s and 1990s, we were going to run out of oil before the turn of the last century. All lies. Oil is a bacteria poop, which is abiotic, which means it replenishes itself. But what if most minerals on this planet are also abiotic or self-replenishing? How can you run out? In the case of oil, if you leave an empty well dormant for 10 years, they fill back up again. But is the abiotic nature similar to the 2 or 3 cups of the elixir narrative of Odin's children? Does that lesson of Odin's children teach a valuable insight of need, not greed? A concept the controllers of fear and doom have clearly not observed but absorbed. And that escalated their descent into the pit. They thought it was a bottomless pit. They were wrong. Badly wrong. Those that fail to learn the lessons of the past are deemed to repeat them, just like some of the beings below our feet. Meddling with genetics to a point of extinction, which is why they showed the documentary, not the movie, called Extinction. Half biological and half machine. That is what greed and the desire for power brings you, the unbalanced ego of wanting to be the singular one when you could be part of the all. A case of less is more. Learn the lesson and you have less, but move on, creating a less on. Or not learn the lesson and have more immaterial aspects, but less off. Are you on or off? What is on and what is off? On is the one-on-one with the one. Off is cut off and disconnected from source and life. They thought they were better off. Not in real terms, they weren't. Collecting pieces of paper with numbers on is not better off. That is the illusion. As those with more money are always spiritually bankrupt. Will people fall, literally, for the temptation? Does that not become a test of your own character? If so, that is a lesson to learn for us all, to not be like the entities operating as clowns, is it not? For the former, that is not living. It is an abomination of life, and the more people recognise that fact, the better. Because you have the 5 basics does not mean I am all right, Jack, and not care for the rest of society. That is no different to being a member of the elite in its base form. Where is the caring and sharing in that? Has ignoring the plight of others served us well? Well, that issue or plight is not my reality or experience, some will say. Is that caring? No, it's not. That is service to self, no matter which way you spin it. Ignoring the plight of others. Hiding behind the illusionary bubble world of the self, with the Egyptian river of denial, that all those bad things only happen to other people. Well, guess what? Everyone's bubble is being popped now, and so that shatters that illusion as well. So what happens next? Reality. Whether it's real reality or virtual 2D reality is your choice. Oh my, reality bites, they say. Only because you allowed the predators to chomp on you. Hiding inside your own bubble world like a latter-day sleeping pod where the frightened and traumatised childlike people slept because they couldn't handle adversity. The modern-day sleeping pod is passed off as a medical marvel by the jackasses in the alt media called the medbed. Developed by and with the RAND company who built the underground bunkers that links to their non-terrestrial brethren underground. The medbed is a genetic altering sleeping pod where they will turn you into being like them. In the main, machines. And getting into them means you do not understand life. It is just another technology that takes you away from source. It is they who are struggling and they wish to use us as batteries and some sort of life-sustaining conduit. But it's not life as we know it. Machines are not life. Technology is not abilities. Computer code is not collective consciousness. Time and matrices are not life. They are stagnant circles. Only the spiral brings you in and out and creates real life, which is a system of flowing. Just like the river, just like the heart, just like the love frequency. Only those in fear create the dam with which to block it. Everything has to flow for renewal, regeneration, and sustainability. And these controllers, and worse ourselves, created dams to stop the flow, where everything backs up and creates blockages. Why do they and we do that? Because we are weak and we have not understood ourselves, never mind others. I'm reminded at this point of a conversation with a part Draco being who laughed when I said the Draco beings are weak. He said, "How do you work that out?" My reply was, only the weak have the need to control us. And if the humans are that weak and sheep-like, why the need to control us? You controlled us because of fear, pure and simple. Suddenly, he stopped laughing. And it should be a reminder, even those of us who have the 5 basics, do not see that we live like kings compared to many on the planet. There is always the desire, not need, to have more. And in overview, the Western society is riddled with entitlement in comparison to many parts of the world. But what is wrong with recognizing what you already have is enough? And if you have what you need in life, why greed? And some of it goes back to the scarcity program of will I have enough in retirement? Yet is it not the case for many who pursue that goal? They forget to live whilst alive. You can't take money with you, only karma and soul development. And yet, because not only people don't understand life, but more importantly, the flow of things, the worst of which is money, they entrust their retirement funds to the very greed-based people who control and enslave us. Sheer madness and a lack of understanding of the flow of where it comes from and where it goes. A river flows, love flows, oceans flow like a current sea. But they and we put dams in and on them. And this creates a backup in the river, and deposits from the flow go where on a river? The banks. They collect the backflow in terms of deposits and place it in or on the bank. And then they feed off of us with our money. But money is not the reality of it. That is the illusion. Because the deposits on the bank are the carcasses of us and our life force energy. Now do you understand life? Money is an anagram of my one. It is that desire of control again, of being the one. If all is me, my, myself and I, that is unbalanced ego. It has to be replaced with we, us and our for everything to be in balance. But it's funny how they compare everything else in life, like clothes, homes, handbags, shoes, cars and looks, and even how many likes or friends they get on social media. But when comparisons are made with anything anywhere else or elsewhere, involving the life or the lack of life of others, the comparative mind suddenly switches off into ignore mode. That has to stop if we are to progress as a species. So let's switch it back on for a second and absorb these figures and comprehend what they are saying about us as a collective. 838 million don't have enough food. That's 1 in every 9 people. 785 million don't have clean water. 2 billion people don't even have a toilet. 1.3 billion have no electricity, with millions more facing and tolerating the load shedding scam. Those without adequate homes. The last time the global authority supposedly tasked to deal with this and bothered to check it was back in 2005. It revealed that 1.6 billion people didn't have an adequate home. Suffice to say, that figure is much higher now. 58 million children have no education. 876 million adults are illiterate, and 4.4 billion don't have access to the internet. Read and weep. And be grateful that you are not in one of those or all of those categories. And that is not said to make you feel guilty of what you have, but it is said to you to kickstart you into concern and caring about what others don't have, because they are the priority. The haves and have-nots leads to an increase in crime. The propensity is to frown upon people who commit crimes. But if a mother steals food or clothing from a shop to feed or clothe their children because she has no means to provide for them, is that a crime by her? No, that is the effect. The cause is it is a crime by the system that created that situation and the public for not caring enough. Again, it is because we don't understand life or the supposed flow of it. But life is riddled in a fear-based cacophony of noise. We have various insurance-based expenditures of fear of losing what we insure against. College forms is a form of fear-based insurance that our kids don't fail in life. But kids don't fail in life because they have no pieces of paper called certificates, degrees, doctorates or PhDs. They fail in life if you don't teach them the basics: personal responsibility, manners, how to be self-sustaining, basic finance, principles, morals, how to care, and how to become a self-sustaining adult, not seeking saviour programs. There are many examples of people going on to achieving great things in life without achieving in their indoctrinating mind control schools. I am one of them. Einstein, Nassim Haramein was another one, and many in our own group also. Intelligence is one thing, intellect is another. Pensions, 401ks and IRAs are another fear-based insurance of having nothing later in life. Is that living? And yet again, those pensions and insurances feed the beast, do they not? Our working life takes up nearly half of our day. 8 hours work, yes. But what about the time preparing for work or commuting to and from? For 5, or in some cases 6 out of every 7 days. So by the time we get some time off, we're too knackered to enjoy it. Is that living? Working conditions are like sweatshop jobs. Pressure to perform, deliver and conform to make the maximum profits for the very few at the top to gorge upon via first class flights, expensive cars, clothes, accessories, meals and hotels, whilst you scrape by on $10 to $15 an hour. But to then understand the flow, the cost of that lifestyle then impacts on the children and or family life. Because if work takes up to 10 to 12 hours a day, you sleep 8 hours a day, that leaves 4 to 6 hours a day for time with the children, your partner, friends, extended family, cooking, cleaning, personal hygiene, never mind research, self-improvement, hobbies, or even a sex life. Is that living? But a day is roughly 10 to 14 hours. The rest is the night, remember. And so it's not taken up half of our day, is it? But 75% to all of our day. Ponder on that. We are being drained like batteries, and yet the very people who are being harvested of energy and living are the same ones fighting to keep the status quo. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The thinking of more equals better. It doesn't, it never has, and it never will. Do you all understand that? I've spoken to a few members recently about their lifestyle and the rigidity of it, and I asked, where is the flexibility? The spontaneity of life and experiences. Is life supposed to be a rigid structure? Like 9 to 5 as it was, except now it is near to 8 to 5. Did you notice it? Many don't. Rigid lifestyles of sticking with the status quo is creating a dam in your life. Life is not just about work and pieces of paper. It is about living and experiencing as many new things as possible. But we humans are stubborn at times, are we not? So let's look at that word, stubborn. Stub, to block, stamp out, extinguish, smother or choke. Being born brings life. So by being stub-born, we smother, block or choke life. So who created the dams and the blockages in life? We did. Because you forgot what life is all about. You didn't define what life is about, so then you didn't learn to create a better life for yourself and others. Why would you block the flow of life? And how do you think that is a useful exercise to be undertaken? Why would you block the flow of love? Because of fear. Why do you allow fear, which is an abstract future-based concept, to dictate, control and abuse you? And yes, it is personal abuse mired in the low self-worth. But love is the ultimate in frequency, and yet many deny it. That's why so many people are single these days. Why? Because they can't control it. But if you understand life, love is not meant to be controlled. It is only meant to flow. Love is your own personal connection to Source. Deny it and you cut off your own flow to not only Source, but life and your role in it. You become lost in the sea of illusion, creating fake realities and existence. You are, in essence, humanity unplugged. Even if you stop loving a person, that flow of love and loving within you has to continue onwards, because that is your contribution to the all in a frequency-based way. It is the polyamory of being love, doing love, sending love, receiving love, carrying love and dispersing love. You don't fall in and out of love, you rise in it. Fear is anti-life. Love is life. Fear is low vibration. Love is the higher vibration. Fear creates blockages. Love creates flow. Fear creates sickness and disease. Love creates a healthy vibrancy. Fear is about taking away. Love is about giving. And as the Dio written song Heaven and Hell says, the less that you give, you're a taker, which is harvesting, and is equivalent to the Elites and their dark intention programs. The lover of life's not a sinner. To be a lover of life, you have to understand it, experience it, and embrace it. The world is full of kings and queens who blind your eyes and steal your dreams, because we allowed them to. So which is your own personal life path? Do you choose not heaven or hell, because that is a religious-based construct and an astral visitation realm of illusion and fear? Do you choose life and love, or fear and purgatory for the self? Now, Dio said the lyrics are about which path we take. whether it's the path to heaven or to the path to hell. And he said the song was written for the religious people who force you to do things and make you think that everything is evil. And this song is supposed to tell you to choose your own path, which makes you a good person. A good message in a heavy rock song? Well, I never. Think different, act different, and be different. Ours and their old model failed on every single level of society. Thinking and acting different and mindset change to heart set is leading from the front. You don't have to be awarded or voted for that position, you just do it. So what is life? Well, really, for so many on this planet, they have no life. Existing and getting by is not living. The propensity to not question or not complain that our life is not what we wanted is an acceptance and consent to what they offer us, which is nothing. We need to define what we consider as life. You should all listen to this piece a few times to really understand what is life. You will all find out that, yet again, you've not defined it. And then spend an hour doing a life review. Are you happy? Do you have wants, desires, needs, loves? Write them all down and create a bucket list for yourself to tick off. But remember, life is not about perfection. That is another subtle form of control, that you must do and be everything perfect. In overview, that is arrogance and ego. You can never possibly be perfect at everything or even anything, because that then says you have nothing to learn. If you have nothing to learn or do, what is the point of living? No, really, I'll ask again. What is the point of living if you don't know how to live and create? There is no perfection because everything is flawed. But there are always lessons born out of mistakes and new goals then to improvements. How can the crown of creation be living and yet not understand life itself? Is that an oxymoron? Did we throw the oxy away and are we just acting like the moron part? But if we threw the oxy part away, is that not in overview another dam in life? The act of breathing and oxygen. Cut off the supply of oxygen and we die internally and externally, and so life ceases to exist. With our lifestyles, which is a curious word given so many don't understand life, how can you have a style if you don't have a life or understand it? With our lifestyles dictated by others, in essence we are on a plane, or is it a dimension, that has suffered decompression and all the oxygen masks have lowered and we have them on. Gasping for air, praying for more life. Before that plane hits the ground and obliterates you, you have a choice to manifest a different and better outcome. What will you choose? How much are we throwing away or damning? And if we are damning, are we not damning the self? It's all about the flow, or even flow, like the Pearl Jam song, which says, even flow, thoughts arrive like butterflies. Oh, he don't know, so he chases them away. Someday yet he'll begin his life again, life again, life again. But before you live your life again, remember to live and love this one. Even flow, thoughts arrive like butterflies. You do realise that is a soul development advancement. When you reach a certain frequency, the butterflies arrive to greet you. The life giver here is the sun. It loves life and so subsequently loves us. Do we love it in return? Embrace it and it will be received and returned. And then you will understand that the sun and life is with and within you. You do realise there are no sunrises or sunsets. The sun is in ascension all day and night. And the sun can be seen like a parent putting you to bed. It turns off its light to allow you to sleep and ascend with it into the heavens. You follow it because it is within you. But how can you follow life when you don't understand it? How can you follow the heart if you will not open it? And when you understand life fully, the blueprint was not an external creation. We are the blueprint. The blueprint is about us all having a life and living in the abundance of the essentials. And once people learn how to elevate themselves and get out of their own way. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now. Final reminder, remember that everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Good night.